going to talk to you a little bit about social media, but the next screen, Les, I'm really proud to say that I'm from Waterloo region. I'm from Ontario, Canada, and many of you may know that the Blue Box program started in Waterloo region back in the early 80s. So I am proud to call this community home. If you click again, Les, you may know that we also now have a green bin program. So all of our organic and moist waste goes into the green bin. That's being fed into a biodigestion program, and we're now generating revenue from that as a community. So I'm always proud to call Waterloo region home. But let's talk a little bit about social media this morning and how social media impacts the way that individuals communicate. Is it possible for the camera person to show the screen so that I can see what you see there? Thank you. Next slide. Social media really has completely changed the way that we talk to our audience. Next slide, Les. I'm not against traditional media by any means. I'm a huge fan of traditional media, but no matter whether it's a radio advertisement or a television advertisement or a color ad in the newspaper, all of those networks are designed for outbound media. They're designed to get your message out to the community. Here's my product, here's my service, here's my promotion, here's my deal of the week. And that is what is, it's a great tool, but it's limiting in that it only allows us to focus on outbound communication. Sorry, I can't see the screen again, guys. If you hit the button again, Les, and just keep clicking. And one more. The difference that social media brings to us is it has completely adjusted the way that we communicate, in that not only are we allowing for outbound communication, but we now have the capability with social media for inbound communication. It's a two-way conversation as opposed to an outbound message. I heard a great speaker talk one time about, if you pick up the telephone and call a friend and say, hey, how are you doing today? You don't hang up the phone as soon as you've sent out that message. You continue the dialogue. And social media is exactly like that as compared to traditional media. If you're going to launch into social media, sorry, I can't see the screen again. If you're going to launch into social media and you're going to put a post out there, thank you, you have to be ready for the conversation that's going to ensue. This is a post that I put up for a client of mine, Ideal Supply. They have a clean tech department. And just before Christmas, I just threw out a one-liner, just one quick, simple question. If I had just put up that question and then logged off of Facebook and walked away for the rest of the day, I would have completely missed this entire conversation that ensued afterward. Comments, questions, how long do I have to redeem my offer? And to jump into that conversation and to see what is happening. That entire dialogue would not have happened if I had just put the post and walked away. You have to be ready for people to like your post, to share it, to comment on it, to retweet it, to recommend it, no matter what your network is, whether it's Pinterest or Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. You have to be prepared for the conversation. Next slide, a little less. I can't think of any better example of how social media has created a conversation than my friend Doug Coda. Doug is a small business owner. He owns a retail store, a sporting goods store in a small town here in Ontario. And just before Christmas, Doug was posting a series of, every day he would post a product that was being featured in his store, just kind of enticing people on ideas for Christmas presents. And he put up you can see underneath that 7 people jumped into the conversation. I was one of them. You can't see my comment there, but I jumped into the conversation and I said, Doug, I need to get a pair of these for my daughter. I'm just not sure what size. You can see that some other people jumped into the conversation. But a couple of days later, I don't go to this community very often. It's about a 35-minute drive from where I live, but I have a client there. So about 4 days later, I was in town, and I stopped in at Doug's store, and I said, Doug, I'm here to take a look at those skates. My daughter's outgrown hers, and I really need to look at these. And while I was there, you can see that Sue Knowlton also jumped into the conversation. 10 minutes after I got there, Sue walked into the store. We both left with a pair of skates, and not only did I get a pair of skates for my daughter, but also some skate guards and 2 or 3 other things, because Doug has this great ability to upsell people once they're into the store. A couple of weeks later, I touched base with Doug and I said, how is your social media promotion going? How is that working for you? And he said, it is absolutely the best tool that I have available to me as a small business owner. And I said, well, out of those posts that you've put up on Facebook, how many of those people come in and buy a product as a result of your posts? And he said 80 to 90% of people that he engages with online will come in and become a customer. 80 to 90%. So 5 people jumped into that conversation on the skates. And I said, Doug, how many of those people bought a pair of skates? And he said, all 5 people bought a pair of skates. I said, well, how is that? He said, well, what did I do with you when you jumped into the conversation? I said, well, you sent me a direct message offline and you asked me some questions about what I was looking for. And he said, well, I do that with all of my customers because I'm a small business owner in a small community, and I know that you've got the choice of going to a big box store where you will have an entire wall of skates to choose from. I can't carry that selection, so I reach out to my customers, I find out exactly what they're looking for, because I don't want them to make the drive into my small community and be disappointed when they get here because I don't have what they're looking for. So Doug spends a little bit more time on social media than the average person, but the return on his investment is worth every minute that he spends online. Doug is an example of probably one of the best practices I've seen in social media and the use of it in engaging with his audiences. Next slide, if you would, Les. Sarah also asked me to talk a little bit about some best practices, and I know that some of you are early adopters of social media and you understand the value of social media, but I'm going to touch on just a few of the best practices that I've come across that really will help you as you integrate it into your business and into your organization. Next slide, if you would, Les. My number 1 tip is be social. If you want to click again, Les. This is an example of a profile that I came across. There's absolutely nothing social about this person's profile. Anne doesn't have a description, she doesn't have a profile photo, she doesn't have any followers. And if you click again, Les, there's a couple more examples there of Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. They all give you an incredible opportunity to showcase who you are and what you're about. The opportunity to use a profile photo, keep clicking there, Les, and we'll get to the content. To make use of a profile photo that describes exactly who it is, who you are, what you do. Your company profile that in a sentence and a half tells people what your expertise is. Both Twitter and Facebook have given you the opportunity to use a cover photo or a header, they call it on Twitter, a quick image that engages your audience, and it's something that you can change up on a occasional basis. You definitely want to make sure that people know your location, how to get a hold of you, your website link, and of course you want to have those followers. So if you click a few more times, Les, that profile of Anne's, it's just not going to cut it. The key is, if you're going to be on social media, be social. It's not anonymous media, it's social media. The next best practice I have for you is get connected, grow your audience. As entrepreneurs, as know that you have people listening to you. So getting connected geographically. Who are the people in your service area? Who are the people in your industry? People that might have a special interest in, keep clicking less, a special interest in clean technology or in your special area of service. Definitely, I encourage you to get connected up to people in the news and the media. It is amazing how often that if you're already connected up into these circles and you send out a press release that they latch onto that and they will publish it because they've been a follower of yours and you've earned their trust. Connect up with thought leaders. It's not a bad idea to connect up with competitors, and you can do that quietly. You don't necessarily have to use your business profile to do that, but keeping an eye on what your competitors might be doing is a great idea online. And as a final way to grow your audience, I highly recommend pay-per-click marketing. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in our next slide and go into a little bit of detail. A lot of people are a little bit shy, about pay-per-click marketing, and I understand that. It is a little bit of a mystery to some people, but let's talk about the pros for pay-per-click marketing. First of all, failure isn't going to cost you a dime. If you launch a pay-per-click campaign and nobody clicks on it, it's not going to cost you anything. Now, unfortunately, that's not going to be successful, but you don't have to be afraid of that unknown cost. I find it highly effective at reaching your target audience. Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn all give you a number of different criteria in which you can target your audience, whether it's by age or gender or education or geography. What I like about pay-per-click marketing is it's permission-based. So if someone clicks on your ad and enters into your network, they are giving you permission to market them from there on in, to educate them, to inform them. You're not selling them, or you're not encouraging them over and over and over again to come to your website. They're in, and they're engaged, and they're giving you permission to communicate with them. It expands your reach. It allows you to reach people that you otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to engage. So the friends of your fans or the contacts 2 or 3 degrees down in your connections on LinkedIn. So it expands that reach very quickly and very effectively. It allows you to accelerate your growth. I've seen profiles grow exponentially, doubling and tripling in size each day, going from 40 to 600 followers in just a number of days because of pay-per-click marketing. And it's ideal for people with a small budget. You can spend as little as $10 a day for 2 or 3 days in a row and see incredible results. So what are the disadvantages to pay-per-click marketing? Well, one of the cons is that if you are successful, it is going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's also going to bring you incredible success. So I'm not sure that that's a con or if that's a pro, but as I said before, you manage your budget. So if you have $50 to spend, you can put that cap on, and once you've reached that $50, your ad stops appearing. And so it's a disadvantage, but it's an advantage. There is a little bit of a learning curve to pay-per-click marketing. You don't have to investigate that all on your own. There certainly are specialists out there that can help you through that learning curve. And probably the final con would be that you definitely need to know your demographics. You need to know your target audience. If you just throw out an ad and it's wide open to 1.6 million users out there, that won't be as effective as if you know your demographics. So I highly recommend pay-per-click marketing as a best practice in growing your social media audience, regardless of what network that you're in. The next best practice that I wanted to talk about is listening and then creating content. Take some time to listen to the messages that are going on out there. What are the topics that people are engaged in? What are the trends? How frequently are people posting? Take a little bit of time to learn what people are talking about so that you can actively engage in the conversation. Take that time to listen and then curate your content. I would say that there's a huge difference between curating content and participating in the noise. Take the time to cultivate an accurate and message before just posting it out there. Take time to participate in conversations. You notice the conversation that I used as an example for Ideal Supply or Doug Coda's example. Take time to participate. Jump into the conversations that are meaningful to you and to your business. Another best practice is reach out to thought leaders, get engaged with them, ask them questions. They're there because they want to engage in conversations, and they won't find you to be a bother. They want you to reach out to them. And finally, the next best practice is share. Share other people's content. If it's relevant to you and to your business and to the service that you provide, share that content. Give credit to the original author, but share it with your audience. Our next best practice has to do with posting. And just a couple of quick points here. Take time, make the time to post to your social networks. You don't have to spend an hour and a half a day. That's what Doug Coda does, and he has found that to be effective for his business. But you might find that 10 to 15 minutes a day is effective. Be sure to regard the etiquette for social media. The etiquette for the frequency of posting on Twitter is completely different than the etiquette for posting on Facebook. Get familiar with those etiquettes so that you don't bombard your audience. My next suggestion and my next practice is schedule your posts. Almost all of the networks out there now allow you to schedule posts in advance. If you only have a little bit of time on Monday, but you've got 10 posts that you want to share, schedule them throughout the week. Put 2 on Monday, 2 for Tuesday, 2 for Wednesday, and so on, so that you are spreading out your message and you're not bombarding your audience. Be clear and be concise. You don't need 5 paragraphs if 2 sentences will do. Get to the point.
That's me.
And you have a very short attention span online, so be clear and be concise. Use a variety of messages, especially with Facebook. They give you the opportunity to use text, to use photos, to use sound, and to use video. So use a variety of messages. Change them up. Text today, maybe a photo tomorrow, maybe a video the day after that. Use a sound. I like SoundCloud for putting sound onto Facebook, but change it up and give some variety to your posts. And finally, my most important point here is accuracy. If you've got spelling mistakes in your posts or grammatical errors or the link is broken, it brings suspicion to everything that you've put into that post. If you notice that you've posted something and there's a mistake, you can delete that. Sorry. You can delete that message and repost it right away. Have I lost you? That's...
No, we're here.
Okay, sorry, I just had a notification here that something's going on, so I apologize. So we're getting to the end of our best practices, but be sure to promote yourself. Make sure that if you're online, people know how to find you. Make sure that those links are on your webpage. Make sure that they're in your email signature, they're on your business card, they're in your office. Make sure that people know how to find you online. Our next best practice is tracking your results. All of the networks give you insights into who is looking at your profile, and I highly encourage you to once a week sit down and take a look at those analytics and those insights and get a grasp on who is looking at your profile, who is sharing, who is communicating, what demographic are they in. That helps you target your next communication. So what time of day are people logging on? What is it that they're sharing? What is it that is resonating with them? Are comments more valuable than the questions? And those are all some of the things that you can take a look at. I want to share you just, if you can click one more time, Les, just an example of social media growth for one of my clients, just one of the outcomes for a client that about a year ago in January they had 50 followers and 50 likes on their Facebook page. And as their audience grew right through to June, they grew up to about 1,000 followers. This is a small retail shop in a small town. If you click one more time, Les, you can see that as their Facebook audience grew, there was a direct correlation to the revenue. As Facebook fans grew, revenue grew. This was a business that was just barely making money, enough money to cover their overhead costs. The owner wasn't actually making any money. By the time he paid his staff and paid his hydro and paid his rent, he was just breaking even. But after we initiated a Facebook campaign, you can see how the revenue grew to the point where this business is now making a net profit of $300,000 a year.
Bernia, was this an online store or retail store?
I think we have one more slide, and
Just got to get rid of the mic.
oh no, I can wrap this up. I highly encourage you to adopt social media into your business. I understand that it takes some time. There is a learning curve. It takes some time to ramp it up, but I have seen with every single one of my clients that there has been an incredible return on their investment. If you have questions, I encourage you to get connected up with me online. I'm always pleased to answer questions for people that are learning and growing their business. That's how you can find me, by an email or on any of the social networks. And yeah, take the plunge.
Great.